So do the Rams know something about the salary cap that no other team in the league does? That's coming up next on Locked On Rams.
You are Locked On Rams, your daily Los Angeles Rams podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for making Locked On Rams your first listen every single day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. My name is Travis Rogers. I host not only Locked On Rams, but also the Rams pre, half, and post-game show on their flagship station, ESPN 710, right here in Los Angeles. Thanks for making us a part of what you do every single day. And today's episode of the pod is brought to you by Blue Nile. Make your moment special, make it sparkle with jewelry from BlueNile.com, and Locked On Sports listeners get $50 off purchases of $500 or more. The podcast exclusive includes engagement. Use the code Locked On at checkout. Okay, so here's what you need to do. You need to follow me on Twitter at Travis Rogers. You need to subscribe to this podcast. Click that subscription button. And of course, you're going to want to check us out on Locked On Rams on YouTube. Here's what's coming up on today's pod. I want to talk about the Rams window. We heard Les Snead talk about that on my talk show, Travis and Sliwa, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. on ESPN LA. But there's a theory floating out there that maybe it's a two-man window. We'll get to that in a little bit. Kevin Demoff, president of the Rams, said something I thought was very, very interesting about the opportunities that are in front of the Rams, especially in light of Cooper Kupp signing. And that, of course, is where I want to start. The Cooper Kupp has a new deal with the Rams. It is going to make him the highest paid wide receiver in the league with $75 million guaranteed. That's about $2.5 million more than Tyreek Hill, who reset the market not that long ago. It is an $80 million contract extension, $75 million of it guaranteed, and it's worth about $110 over the 5 years of the deal. And a couple of things that I think are particularly interesting about this. Number one, you knew it was going to happen, which is just hilarious to me, because think about some of the wide receiver moves that we've seen lately, whether it's Hollywood Brown or whether it's Tyreek Hill or Devontae Adams or DeAndre Hopkins a couple of years ago. Like, some of the best wide receivers in football, they move around, and they move around because teams decided, we can't pay him, or they don't want to pay him, or they come up with a variety of different explanations as to why they can't get a particular deal done. And with the Rams, it's like he comes off of a year where he sets the Triple Crown, most touchdowns, most receptions, most yards, goes into the Super Bowl and wins MVP with a drive at the end of the game that, I think if we're talking 10, 15, 20 years from now, we're still talking about that drive. Rams offense was kind of stuck in neutral. They couldn't get anything done. And then all of a sudden they just broke out the, hey, just throw it to Cooper Kupp every single play and let's see what happens. And what happens is they won the Super Bowl. He took a brutal hit in the back of the end zone. He gets up. He catches a fade that he never catches fades. All of these things happen, and he ends up winning Super Bowl MVP. And the Rams paid Matthew Stafford, and the Rams just paid Aaron Donald. We talked about that on the podcast a couple of days ago. That's why you need to make sure that you're subscribed to Locked On Rams. And here we are with Cooper Kupp getting another $75 million guaranteed. And everybody goes, yeah, that's what I thought the Rams would do. It's extraordinary. Not that they decided that they were going to pay a great player. Some teams do, some teams don't. The Rams have decided to pay all of their great players. Now, Travon Howard, a little bit of a cap casualty right there because he had to go so they could free up some of the money to give it to Cooper Kupp. So maybe your depth and your backups and all these other things kind of take a little bit of a shot because you have to give more of the money here. But I don't know if I've ever seen a team, and I don't know if I've ever seen a group of players that are more locked in and more in sync than the Rams are with their stars. The Matthew Stafford thing got done like that. It was just came up, got done, keep it moving. The Aaron Donald thing in the Rams universe was a 5-alarm fire, and it was nothing. It was if I don't play football, I'll be okay. And then about 5 seconds later, the deal was done. Cooper Kupp, you knew he was going to get a new deal. And his attitude through all of this was, well, I don't have to reset the market. And what happened? He resets the market. right? It gets done. You know that Sean McVay is going to get paid really any day now. I mean, I guess Stan Kroenke's in a good mood. Maybe, if you work in the concessions or field maintenance or whatever it is, now's a good time to go ask for a raise. Apparently, they're handing out some money along the way. But it got done. And it continues to get done. And this is the part that I find just so incredibly interesting is that they just don't do drama. Everybody wants to keep all their good players, but how many teams do? Very, very few of them. The Rams have kept all of them. If Andrew Whitworth wanted to be here, he'd probably be here, right? That he decided to retire. They make very calculated. Darius Williams is not one of those guys. Austin Corbett is not one of those guys. They made an offer to Von Miller that Buffalo kind of blew out of the water, and they meant, no, we can't go that far. But my, oh my, when it's one of their guys, Aaron Donald, Matthew Stafford, Cooper Kupp, Sean McVay, all in all the time. And now you get just to the straight football of it all. I think it's incredibly interesting because Matthew Stafford and Cooper Kupp figured out a way to be on the same page from week one of season one with the two of them together. Obviously, Matthew Stafford been in the league a long time, Cooper Kupp a little bit less, but a lot of NFL experience. It looked like those two guys had been together from the beginning of time. Well, now that they have a season in their back pocket, a Super Bowl winning season in their back pocket, and now they got an entire new offseason, and now that everybody's paid and in a good mood and ready to go, what could that look like in year two? What will it look like with Allen Robinson on the team? What will it look like if Odell ultimately decides to come back? What if Van Jefferson continues to improve? That could be an absolute nightmare for opposing defenses to try and deal with everything that the Rams are going to throw at them every single week with really good. Cooper Kupp is in his prime. Matthew Stafford is in his prime, maybe towards the back half of his prime, but in his prime. Aaron Donald probably in the same spot. They are going for it. Everybody, we're all in. F them picks, run it back. All of the things that it's real easy to put a slogan up on the wall, right? For instance, the Lakers just introduced Darvin Ham as their new coach, and he's got a great slogan. It's facts over feelings. Hey, we're not going to worry about how you feel about this. We're going to talk about what it actually is, and we're going to make decisions accordingly. It's cool. It's a nice slogan. It makes sense. It's alliterative, all of these things. But how do you go about implementing it? How do you go about making sure that it gets done? The Rams, it's we over me. Be at your best when your best is required. But then they go and do it. It's just an incredible time to be a Rams fan when it seems like they continue to make aggressive decisions. They continue to push. They continue to pay their players. They continue to have the best coach in the league. They continue to have the best stadium in the league. They're coming off of a Super Bowl championship. They just gave Cooper Kupp a new deal to make him the highest paid wide receiver in football. Now is a really good time to be a Rams fan. And Kevin Demoff said something that I think is going to make you very, very happy. That's coming up next. But first, let's talk about our pals at Blue Nile. At BlueNile.com, you can celebrate all of life's special moments, from creating the custom engagement ring of her dreams to gifting a classic and timeless jewelry piece, all at prices you will not find at a traditional jeweler. Whether you're ready to pop the question or you're celebrating a milestone moment, find jewelry as unique as she is with the modern convenience of online shopping at BlueNile.com. Build the engagement ring of her dreams or celebrate life's special moments with fine jewelry. No matter what you're looking for, Blue Nile has jewelry experts on hand 24/7. That means, I kind of have an idea, but I need somebody to walk me through it. Blue Nile's there 24/7. Make your moment sparkle with jewelry from BlueNile.com. And Locked On Sports listeners get $50 off purchases of $500 or more. And this podcast exclusive includes engagement. Use the code Locked On. That's the code Locked On. Plus, every order is insured. It ships free and arrives in discreet packaging that will not give away the amazing gift that's inside. Shop stress-free and find your forever piece. Go to BlueNile.com today. We also have an important favor to ask of you. We've put together a survey so we can learn more about listeners like you and make your favorite Locked On podcasts even better. It's your opportunity to tell us what you like about Locked On podcasts and what you don't like about Locked On podcasts. So go to lockedonpodcast.com/survey. Go do it right now and you can get started. It's not going to take you very long. And as an incentive, everyone that completes a survey qualifies for a chance to win one of 10 $100 Ticketmaster gift cards. So to take the audience survey, go to lockedonpodcast.com/survey. And thank you very much for the help. Okay, so the Rams are doing everything that you would hope your favorite team would do, right? They are aggressive in free agency. They are aggressive in the trade market. They're willing to pay their star players. They've got a superb coach. They've got a coach and a general manager that seemingly work in tandem very, very well together. And they've got a stadium that is state of the art in a city that everybody loves to come to. Everything is kind of coming up roses for the Rams right now. The question, and of course, they're coming off of the Super Bowl championship. So the question of sustainability, the question of how long can you continue to pay everybody? How long can you keep all this group together before, they decide they want to go somewhere else, or they age out, or they retire, or any of the things that happen in pro sports? There's, we know how that works. Kevin Demoff said something I thought was particularly interesting. And he was asked about the model and whether or not this is something that they can just continue to do over and over again. And what he said was, I don't know that this model in particular is sustainable forever. To me, it's not about, this is the model we'll always have. I think our model has been being aggressive in trying to build the best team that we can build. That is sustainable. I think everybody who joined the Rams joined with this idea that we could be one of the best global sports franchises in the world. And if we want to be one of the elite teams in the city, in the world, one title does not get you there. How good is that? I mean, think about how good of a quote that is as a Rams fan, because what he's saying is maybe we can't do it like this. Maybe we can't exactly pay everybody every year and just keep this thing running and kick the can down the road and just perpetually go to a place where we pay over and over and over again, active in the trade market. Eventually, there's no more assets to trade, and you've got to go in a different direction, right? Okay, fine. So that's not what he said, though. What he's saying is, I don't know if this model is sustainable, but what is sustainable is attempting to be the best team that we can year after year after year. We can do that. The mentality, the ethos of what they want to be, that is sustainable. This is not a, hey, listen, we got a 5-year window, hit it as hard as we can, and then we're going to start putting some money in the bank, and then we're just going to kind of pull back, and we'll wait till we find our next Aaron Donald. That's not what they're saying. They're saying, we are going to continue to be aggressive over and over again. That's great news. What's even better news is they understand that to resonate in this city, in Los Angeles, if you're looking at this on YouTube, you see the city behind me. If you want to be one of the teams here, it's not good enough to just say, hey, we're pretty good. We were good last year. Come on in. You're part of this, right? And I got a couple examples for you. The Dodgers have won multiple World Series since they've been in Los Angeles, and other than a few pockets here and there, have been competitive almost the entire time. And I think Dodger fans, with the exception of the Frank McCourt era, understood that the O'Malleys and that the Guggenheim Group were going to do whatever it takes to win. The Dodgers are a crown jewel of Los Angeles sports. Take everything I just said about the Dodgers and apply it to the Lakers. It's also true. The Lakers have won multiple championships. They move heaven and earth to get stars. They are fully committed to winning, and they go about it every single season. There is no, hey, let's just pull back and see what happens. Hey, we've developed a good brand here. We'll be okay. No. They go for it. Now, maybe they make mistakes. They certainly made one last year with Russell Westbrook, but they make mistakes, but they keep going for it. The Lakers brand is incredibly strong. Think about SC football, right? SC football just didn't have, hey, we had Reggie Bush for a couple of years. It was great. No. You had going all the way back to the 50s and 60s and 70s. SC football is a brand name across the country here in town. That's the level you have to get on. Now think about the Angels. Angels have a ton of fans. Angels have people that go and see their games. Angels have won one World Series in over 50 years. Okay, are they on that level? No, they've been here a long time. They've had good seasons. They've won a championship. But are the Angels one of those teams? No. Are the Anaheim Ducks? I'm an Anaheim Ducks fan. I'm in. They got one cup. They're an expansion team. They showed up, and they got a loyal group of fans, including myself. But are they the Kings? No. Kings have won a couple, but the Kings not only were here, they continue to push. They continue to do all of these different things. And, they in the last 20 years or so, they've been a very good franchise. This is the level that they're trying to get. And you're not going to say in what's now, it's 2022. You're not going to say in the year 2030, hey, remember when Aaron Donald tackled Joe Burrow at the end of the game? Remember that? Come on in. No. Not here. Not here. And Kevin Demoff understands that. And he's trying to get on the level with the Lakers and the Dodgers and USC football and some of these other teams that have been in this city for a long time and didn't just have some success, they've had continued eras of success. That's what I'm hearing. We won this. We need to win another one. We need to be that team. Now, the Patriots over 20 years, what is it? 7, 8 Super Bowl appearances, probably a bridge too far. But to be in the mix, the way the Packers have been in the mix, the way that the 49ers were in the mix for 20 years with Joe Montana and Steve Young, and then even a little bit beyond that. That's what you're shooting for. That's how you develop roots in the city. That's how you prevent what happened when the Niners came here and the place was half red. That's what you're trying to prevent. And Kevin Demoff gets it. And that is great news for Rams fans. Okay, coming up next, the window. How big is it and who's involved? That's straight ahead. But first, let's talk about the delicious Built Bar caramel brownies, right? Who doesn't love a brownie? I do. You look at my face. Do I look like I don't like a brownie? Of course I do. But what if it was not only delicious, but also really good for you? What if it only had 130 calories, 17 grams of protein, and 4 grams of sugar? That's Built Bar. Get rid of the regular brownies and go with Built's Caramel Brownie Bar in a heartbeat. It's a good decision. You're going to feel better. You're going to look a little bit better. All of those things. Go to Built.com right now. Use the promo code LOCKED15, and you're going to get 15% off of your order. Use the promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off at Built.com. And I'm just going to leave you with this. They are covered in real chocolate. That's not like a euphemism. It's real chocolate. It's a caramel brownie bar from Built.com covered with real chocolate. Go there right now, Built.com. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about that window that the Rams have. When Les Snead came on with us on the Travis and Sliwa show not that long ago, he said something that really resonated with me, which was you need to know where you are in your window. That's part of why them being as aggressive as they are has been as effective as they are. Do we have a chance? We can do something crazy, but does it actually give us an opportunity to win one of these championships? Can we go in and do it, or is this just making a PR move, or do we actually have a chance to win? And I think that's the part that gets particularly interesting. Can you do that? Can you find a way to make yourself the team that is not just in it once, but that's in it over and over and over again? Jason La Canfora, who covered the NFL for a long time, tweeted the following. Whenever Aaron Donald does, in fact, retire 2 to 3 years, I fully expect Sean McVay to be right behind him. That's the Rams' window to stay on top as constituted, and wouldn't be surprised in the least if they both walk with at least one more ring. Okay, couple of things here. Number one, at least one more ring. That sounds enticing. In the next 2, if I said to you, hey, look, over the next 2 or 3 years, you're going to get one more. Over Sean McVay's first 8 years in this league, you're going to go to the Super Bowl at least 3 times and have at least 2 championships. Sounds pretty darn good. That's Patriots like, right? As now it's about half as long, but that's the game, right? You can only win it if you're in it, and they're in it over and over and over again. The part that's the second part of it, though, I think is particularly interesting, which is, do they walk together? Look, Aaron Donald's clock is ticking a lot louder than Sean McVay's. Sean McVay's clock is basically got 30 years left on it. If 40, honestly, if you look at Pete Carroll, if you look at Bill Belichick, those guys are 70 years old. Sean McVay's in his mid-30s. So let's tack 35 more years onto this thing. He's got more runway. He could take a 10-year break and have another 25-year career on the back end. That's how much time he has. But the thing to me that is particularly interesting is Sean McVay is really smart in knowing what he has and knowing when to maximize advantages, right? That's, I think, was his strategy as a coach is let's find the mismatches. Let's take advantage of those and let's use our strengths and exploit other people's weaknesses. I mean, that's coaching 101, right? I think he's better at it than most other people. But Aaron Donald's timeline is different. Aaron Donald is going into his second decade in the NFL before too long. Guys don't play 20 years in the NFL, and they sure as hell don't play 20 years in the NFL at that position, right? So the end, you can see it from where he is. Now, he's still at the very top of his game, but let's say he gets another one. Let's say he puts another $100 million in the bank like he's about to, and he's got a championship or 2. He's good, right? He's already going to the Hall of Fame. He's already on the list with Lawrence Taylor and Reggie White and all these guys. But when he decides to go, is that the opportunity for Sean McVay to say, you know what? It's not a terrible idea. Now would be a good time to go recharge my battery. Now would be a good time to go take that $200 million from Apple or Amazon or whatever other streaming service has decided to get in on the game 2 years, 5 years, 10 years from now, whenever it might be. It's interesting because he could be thinking, look, I just don't know if we can be as competitive as I want to be if I don't have that guy kind of lighten the match, right? Lighten the fuse and making sure that we go as he goes. They're hard to, Aaron Donald's come around once every 20 years. It doesn't happen. But if he goes and checks things out for a minute, goes, does a little TV, comes back when there's an opening somewhere with something that he finds particularly interesting, not the craziest idea I've ever heard, that they could decide, you know what, now's the time to go. Because it keeps it like, look at Bill Belichick, look at Tom Brady, both of them brilliant at what they do. But Bill Belichick without Tom Brady has been something other than Bill Belichick with Tom Brady. Now, obviously, quarterback, defensive tackle, a little bit different, but kind of lines up about the same, doesn't it? And I think that's the piece that they have to figure out. That's the piece that Sean McVay in particular has to figure out. Aaron Donald will leave the NFL at some point in the next 5-6 years. Football, they leave. They get older, they get hurt, they lose the fire, all those things. Guys leave. There's a reason that these guys, that you don't see 60-year-olds playing in the NFL, right? Duh. Coaches, you do see 60-year-olds in the NFL. A lot of them. So does he follow him out the door? It's kind of something to think about. And by the way, I've heard a lot worse ideas than, you know what? My timeline is Aaron Donald's timeline, and then I'll reevaluate from there. Okay, that's going to do it for this edition of Locked On Rams. Thanks for making us your first listen every single day. Now make your second listen the Locked On NFL podcast, our national NFL experts and insiders, keeping fans dialed in with the biggest stories and the latest news from around the league. Because an offseason doesn't equal a break in the action. Follow Locked On NFL every day on the Odyssey app, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts. Until next time, whose house? It's Locked On Rams house.